And now let's talk about preparing dailies and Avid Script Sync. I have folders arranged. I don't know if you can see this, but this says dailies by scene. And I have scenes 1 through 50, scenes 51 through 100, scenes 101 through 140. And if I open this up, I see all the scenes. There's one bin per scene. A scene that says scene 7. And I put a little description after it. I have my assistants do this. This is what my assistants do. This is how I receive it. It says scene 7, Rudy finds doll. And so I'll just open this up. Again, you won't see any picture, it's offline, but this will give you an idea. I like to use thumbnails. I have them arranged by setup. So that means this is take 7, 7 take 1, 7 take 2, 7 take 3. And they go to the next row, 7 Apple 1, 7 Apple 2, 7 Apple 3. By Apple, I mean 7A1, 7A2, 7A3. Next angle, 7B1, 7B2, and so on. So I like to look at thumbnails. That's what I do. Some editors will look at it all in text. But I'm more visual. So with the wall cards, I like to look at little thumbnails. So before I start looking at everything, I like to look at the last take of every camera setup. I have a wide shot, and there's 5 takes. I will go and look at take 5. And then I go to the next angle, which would be A setup. Maybe that's a close-up. I'll look, and there's 8 takes. I'll look at take 8. I like to look at the last take of every camera angle. I like to just have a rough idea of everything that was filmed, so I'm not completely in the dark when I start looking at the footage. And usually you look at the last take because usually, not always, but usually the last take is the culmination of the creative progression that had to happen between the first take and the last. In other words, usually take 1, they're still working out the blocking, the performance might not quite be there. It's not always to say that the last take is the best take, but usually a lot of creative things have been worked out. They've arrived at a composition that they like, or they've arrived at a movement or something about it, blocking. So I like to look at the last one. And after I do that, then I go back to the very, very beginning. What's the first setup they shot? Then I look at all the takes. Even if I looked at take 5 already, I'll look at take 1, 2, 3, and even 5, I'll look at it again. And I think it's important for editors, no matter how much footage, ideally you look at everything. I think it's the editor's responsibility to know every frame that was shot. We're only human, so you can't be necessarily expected to remember every frame. That's what you have notes for. Some editors take notes. Some editors, like me, use little markers or locators and type in little notes there. You do whatever you need to do in order to remember certain things. But I do think you really need to be able to look the filmmakers and the producers in the studio in their eyes and say, I've looked. You don't have it. You know, I know because I've looked at everything. I know everything. You know, I think you don't have what you think you have. Or you say, no, I know. We can solve this problem because I remember seeing something. Sometimes in a movie like First Man, where they shoot an enormous amount of footage, you try to figure out, you know, is there a trick? Is there something I can do? And there is, depending on the footage that's doesn't change or it's holding. You know, I can double speed through something, you know, but I don't want to just skip around. I want to at least know that all the footage is sort of run past my eyes, you know. So if there's simple multiple cameras, if we're filming a person and one camera is right here, is a wider medium, but the other one is a tight, but it's the same person. If those two cameras are grouped together, I can look at those at the same time. I can't do that, or I don't feel I can do that if the cameras are doing completely different things. You know, I need to be able to pay attention. But if they're really very similar, and if I'm looking at kind of two sizes of the same thing, I can look at that simultaneously and still pick out some detail. So you do try to come up with tricks to work faster, but again, I can't stress how important this is. It's your responsibility as an editor to know the footage, to have seen it all. When you get all the material in, you need to know that you not only have everything that was shot, but do you have everything that was envisioned? Do you have everything that the director intends to be shot? If the scene is partially shot, you know, you have to know that. Your assistant has to know that. He has to know if there's outstanding material. I usually have my assistants label the bin. Scene 11, Rudy finds Marco, and then right after it, partial in all caps. Different editors work differently, but you might say partial. So I can see, oh, okay, so I got some material. I need to look at it. I should look at it, but I may not cut it yet until I get everything else. It's good to get clarity on what is owed, and you get clarity by your assistant editors or me, the editor, communicating with the script supervisor and saying, script supervisor normally should tell on his or her notes what more they have to do. But if they don't, that should be an email that says, I see that scene 11 is only partially shot. What more are you going to shoot? What do we owe? What does the crew owe? And if the crew says, we have everything, we just don't have a shot, an insert shot of the clock, then I can say, oh, great, that's not a big deal. I can cut the scene without it. I'll just leave a hole for that one little detail, that one little shot. That's not a problem. If the script supervisor answers back and says, well, you have a telephone conversation, and we only shot one side of the conversation, then I might say, okay, well, I won't bother editing it right now. I'll wait for the other side to come in, and then I'll edit it. For the time being, I'll set it aside. I'll look at it. I'll look at it to make sure this side looks good, but I won't spend time cutting it. That'll be a waste. I'll just wait, and I'll move on to something else. This is another tool that I use on every movie. It's something that is very time-consuming to set up, but it's a feature that Avid uses, and it's something that Avid has exclusively over other formats. It's called the Avid Script, and what it is a digital representation of the script and all the coverage. So this is not a project I've worked on. It's not one I'm familiar with, but this is footage provided by Avid to me just to give you an idea. Basically, your crew, your assistant editors, need to create this. This is something that's actually very time-consuming to do. But when I started out as an assistant editor, I would be the one preparing this for my editor. And then when I started to edit myself, I knew that I would want to use this. And I know a lot of editors in Hollywood who cannot do a movie without this feature. And when you work on a movie of a certain budget, certain size, it doesn't have to be the biggest, it doesn't have to be Captain Marvel, but if it's of a certain size, this has become more normal, this has become more standard. And so it is another roadmap to the footage. It's another way for you to search the footage. And it should not serve as a substitute for looking at all the footage and making your own notes and thoughts. You always have to do that. But it's an extra way, it's an extra inventory of everything. And it's especially helpful when you're working with the filmmakers, when you're working with the director. Because the director will come in and say, oh, I don't like this take. I want to see another take of this. Can we look at all the takes? So instead of having to go into the raw footage to look at it, this script will help you go directly to what you're looking for. I've never seen this footage before, so this is new to me just as it is to you. These lines represent different takes. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are 8 takes for this. These marks correspond to this line of dialogue. This character's name is Goodwin. His line is, as I have highlighted, it says, yeah, probably in the water. So if I press this take 1, it will bring up this line of dialogue. Let's see if this... Linking up these clips, all of your dailies, to the script is something that has to be done manually. and it's very time consuming. It really requires a full-time assistant editor to do. And the movies that I work on, when they start shooting and I start editing, I have my assistants are getting footage every day. They're organizing it for me. They're helping me. There's one assistant, all they do is work on this. That's all they do. They come in the morning, they do this, they leave at night, they go home, they go to sleep, they come back and they do this. Because it's so time consuming, they have to look at all the footage and they have to start marking, linking it. So all those marks that you see here, which lead you to the exact line of dialogue, this is done by the assistant editor. It's very time consuming, but I can't overstate how powerful it is as a tool, how time saving it is. When a filmmaker comes in, and hopefully we'll get the sound I can show you, when the filmmaker comes in and you want to look at lines of dialogue, you can go straight to those lines, assuming that you have a good assistant and it's marked and prepared correctly, but you can go straight to those lines and you can play take one, just that line, next to take two, next to take three, take four, all of them. You can compare them and very quickly make a decision. This is the best one. I want to use that. It's powerful if you want to cheat something. If you're looking, I need the character to say this person's name. There's a way that you can find in the script, find every moment, look for this word. If it's in the script, it'll find it, and then you can go straight to it.